Hey guys, this is Dan with Gears and Gadgets. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to my backyard. So the last video I published, I just built a whole bunch of shelves in the garage. And when I was actually doing that project, I ran to Costco and I came across this shed here. And it was only $400, which I've been looking for quite a while because this house has a pad over here, which since the day we moved in, I've looked at this as like a place that if a shed didn't belong there originally, it belongs there now. I think they actually had one probably built in here because I can see in the block wall some holes here that are kind of sloped down, like there maybe used to be some sort of roof there. There's also some maybe here where there was something built in. But when I came across this shed, I looked at it and decided that for the money, it probably would cost me more to actually frame something up in that corner. So I decided we'll pick up the shed, see what it's all about. There were a couple of reviews about how installation or building this thing is kind of a giant pain. So we'll see how hard it really is. I'll probably follow along with the YouTube video that they have, the same as I would expect anybody else to, but let's just get to it, put this thing together, and it'll just help free up some space in the garage also. You know, one of the things that really sucks about using the garage to store things like your lawnmower and things like that is the lawnmower, after you cut the grass, if you don't clean it really well, kind of makes the whole garage stink. And just decided that if I can get that stuff out back over here, it would make the most amount of sense. Now this slab is also not level. It is flat, but not level. Basically the whole thing slopes down to the corner, so it should work out fine for the shed. It'll just have a little bit of a pitch to it coming this way, but otherwise the floor should sit flat. I threw a level on it earlier just to make sure that it wasn't kind of like humped, because if it was, I probably wouldn't bother putting a shed on there because the whole thing would just be super unsturdy. Doors wouldn't close, but with this it should be okay. It's enough with the chit chat, and we'll start putting this thing together and see how it holds up over time. Let's get to it. Highly recommend these parts organizers. Never thought I'd be doing a shed montage, but all in this thing is actually pretty awesome. Dimension-wise, I think it actually holds quite a bit. I'm actually going to leave this door closed and kind of latched shut pretty much all the time. One of the things and reasons why is because the weed whacker that I have, which is like a full-size, like professional Milwaukee weed whacker, doesn't fit vertically on any of the hooks. So I kind of have it just kind of sitting in here. Same with the pole saw that I have. The shovel is back there and is fine, but that's all stuff that I don't really need to get to all that often. The mower here, I'll get to all the time. And then I have an attachment here for the weed whacker for edging. And then the top shelf is just kind of sitting with some hose for the irrigation system, seed spreader, little like wheeled dolly thing here. Just some odds and ends, but this is pretty much all I wanted to do. The lawnmower can sit in here because it's not really temperature sensitive, but this lawnmower is actually getting discolored over time because of where I had it in the garage. It actually catches a bunch of sunlight when the garage is open, and over time the plastic started to fade. So in this shed, that should go away. Now to John, who seemed to have complained about installation and the roof being fault, which I'm assuming he means flat. I actually don't think it's flat. It has a bit of a pitch to the front, but even if it were flat, it's only 3 feet deep, or 4 feet deep. It's not really gonna hold a whole lot of water anyways, but for shits and giggles, I'm gonna measure the roof kind of at the halfway point here, 67 3/8, and then at the front, we are 67. So it is not fault or flat. It does have a slight pitch to it. And all in, I think it's actually a pretty good quality product. Now, I do recommend that if you are going to assemble this thing, not to drag it across the backyard, because one thing that I did find out when doing that is that the weakness of this shed is at the roof line here. When you're kind of moving this thing around, you can see this plastic likes to shift around, and the doors came off the hinges here. So it wasn't a huge deal. I just had to come in to undo this screw here, pull the roof up a little bit, and get those hinges reinstalled and put those doors back on. Not really a big deal, but that's kind of what you get with a plastic shed. But this thing is actually pretty sturdy. I don't envision the wind ripping this thing open at all. Closing it, latches shut, and that is pretty solid. So all in, super happy. I think for $400, you really can't beat it. As I said before I put this thing together, to build a shed like this in a corner, you know, the framing wise stuff would be relatively cheap to frame that up. But once you start getting into like roofing, that kind of stuff, the materials are going to add up really quick and go north of that $400. So I'm not sure if this is the final resting place for it, but for where it's at now, if I want to shift it over, I can. So just a quick shed video, and just really happy I was able to free up even a little more room in the garage, and really kind of wrapped up all of my garage organization, getting everything kind of buttoned up. So with that being said, thank you guys very much for tuning in. Lifetime 4x6 shed from Costco. I recommend it. Wasn't really all that hard to put together. Also, John's estimate of 2 to 4 hours, 2 hours easy to put this thing together, really not all that difficult. So with that being said, thank you guys very much for tuning in. If this is your first time tuning in, please hit that subscribe button down below. Remember, likes go a long way to support the channel. See you guys next time. Frickin' John.